video I want to talk to you guys about training like a Roman Legionnaire. And it's kind of interesting if you look at the training that the Romans got, like way back when, like now the time that Rome existed, like we're talking about Imperial Rome, the time that it existed, it's a long span of time. And so there's a lot to cover and a lot of changes that were done to the military, but sprinkled throughout, there was a lot of things that they did, not just in their society but in their military, that is you can still see today. There is still a lot of that influence that is still used today for training troops and just used in modern civilization, a lot of the influence. So Rome was quite inspirational and is still has a lot of influence today. So with that said, first off is physical training. Mixing your technical with your athletic movement. So Romans, when they were training their legionnaires in their basic training, they did a lot of marching, running, and stuff like that. So it was some technical stuff to get your body used to getting good endurance, and they would mix athletic stuff like swimming and stuff like that to help build endurance and, you know, getting your body used to being continuously on the move, to include long marches with a lot of gear. I mean, we did that all the time. That's a basic thing that Marines are required to do, is long marches just like the Romans did with a good amount of gear on them. So if you're in weapons platoon in SOI, you're going to be carrying a lot more weight. Just don't be a machine gunner, and you won't have to carry the 50 with you, because even the spare barrels are not fun. So anyways, for their physical training, they like to mix technical and athletic training, so kind of the best of both worlds. So very efficient as far as delivering a good workout to the body, but also teaching them as well and getting their body used to what they're going to need to do. So the next thing is drills. On a daily basis, when they were doing their basic training for 4 months and even afterwards, they were drilling all the time. So when they were in basic training, they were working with sticks. They were working with wooden swords, wicker shields, and they were training on sticks. Even when they were throwing their javelins or their spears, they were having to aim at sticks that were basically just this wide. So, you know, it was very hard, and you had to perform or you'd be losing rations. So try to incorporate that. You screw up on your shots and you start taking rations away from yourself. That would be interesting. But they would work. They did a lot of work, you know, working as a team, learning commands and stuff, and you know, this would basically be like small unit tactics, or even just like two people learning to shoot and communicate or maneuver in a situation and communicate properly, or and working individually. So there was constantly drills. They tried to do it every day, but sometimes, you know, they're thrown right into battle and they can only do it like maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, but they try to do it at least twice a week. But every day would be preferable. Just wake up and do some drill after a short breakfast. So then, of course, their practice, and at least in their basic training, it was noted in the very few books that actually survived the collapse of Rome and throughout history. They actually found some references that several times stated that their practice equipment, at least in basic training, was twice as heavy as the real thing, and that was actually to build the muscle. So think about you trying to get direct slashes and being able to do 100 slashes with something that's twice as heavy as the real thing. Well, today, imagine if this rifle was twice as heavy as if I had a training rifle that was twice as heavy as this one, but all I had to do was work on my presentations and work on my manipulations, you know, reloading, everything weighed twice as much as it normally would. You would get a heck of a workout from that, and your body would get used to that weight. So when it came time to working with something that's 7 pounds, 8 pounds or whatever, you were dealing with something that was 15 or more, it's going to be very lightweight, and it's going to be like a breeze to swing a sword and cut through somebody's armor, or stab in through somebody's armor. So there was a good idea of training with something that's heavier, and there is still some influence in that, but it's not necessarily in weight. It's just basically in training you typically make things worse than they really are, give more casualties, or make the enemy more accurate than they would ever really be, or make ambushes or whatever more complex than necessary. You know, stuff like that. Make things harder than they actually will be. That way you're bleeding and training and getting used to the worst case scenario all the time, and then when reality hits, it's just like, okay. That was my experience in the Marine Corps anyways. So their focus for all their training was endurance and power. So in endurance in the sense that you need to be able to march for a long time, because sometimes they would be marching 9 miles a day, if not more, just moving to a battlefield, moving to go take over cities or reinforce or something. So then, of course, power. You needed to have the ability to hack and slash, you know, very quickly. You needed to be able to move a lot of weight. Your armor, your shield, your sword, you need to be able to move that and be able to swing with a good amount of force when you're on the battlefield. But these two are almost always combined. You need to have a good amount of power, and you need to be able to deliver that power for a long period of time. So endurance is a big deal, and it was a big deal in the Roman army. So, and it's still kind of a big deal today. These are the two qualities that are almost always valued more than anything when it comes to training as an actual warrior, not one of those trendy little warrior workouts or Spartan workouts or whatever. That's not a real warrior workout. That's athletic movements put into a trendy name. See, what they're going for is getting you to be able to fight, and most of the time fights are not just going to be a one punch knockout. So you're going to have to sit there for a long time and duke it out with somebody. That's going to be endurance and power. So the Roman military understood this, and that's what they trained people for. So incorporating some of these lessons into your training can actually help you a little bit. Basically using more weight than necessary, working on isometrics with more weight than your weapon actually is, or conducting mock movements with weight in order to get used to it, or doing low weight, high rep work, like for your biceps or shoulder movements that mock, you know, manipulation movements that you would have. So stuff like that, it's a great thing to use to condition your body for using your weapon for self-defense. So whatever that may be, whether it's concealed carry, you know, law enforcement, military, whatever, security, contractors, whatever. But anyways, just a little takeaway from history that you might want to incorporate into your training, so I thought I would make a video on that. And I also have a article linked down below where I go into a little bit more detail, so if you want to give that a read, I really appreciate that. And check out my blog. I got a lot of different topics there that sometimes just don't go on YouTube and I don't make videos of. But I appreciate you guys watching, and let me know what you think in the comments below, and you guys have a good one.